Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Oni and I'm a third-year medical student. I make videos on medical school application, medical school life, international student life. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely join the family, hit the subscription button, and yeah, like the video as well. So it's been a long time coming, oh my god, but I'm finally going to be talking about my MCAT experience from like 3 years ago. I'm gonna be doing a brief MCAT experience and more so talking about like tips and tricks to the MCAT and mistakes that you should avoid for those who are studying for their MCAT right now. If you've been following me for some time, okay. If you've been following me for some time, I have mentioned in the past my MCAT scores and a couple things here and there about my application process and my application experience. I've said a couple things, so you probably have an idea of what my MCAT experience was like. I'm going to briefly talk about it. I took the MCAT, I think in 2017. I'm pretty sure it was 2017. But I took my MCAT twice. The first time that I took my MCAT, I didn't score very well on the critical reading section. So I tried to take it a second time so I could improve my critical reading section. I had a 122 the first time I took the MCAT. And then when I took the exam the second time, I scored a 121 on critical reading. So I dropped on my critical reading section. And I just decided that I didn't want to take the exam anymore. And I just went ahead and applied to medical schools with my score like that. And thank God that I'm now a third-year medical student. Yay! For those who are probably like seriously stressed out about the MCAT and all of that, definitely go check out my videos on like how to get into medical school with low MCAT scores or like low critical reading scores and stuff like that, so you see how you can improve other aspects of your application. The MCAT does not make or define you. I know how frustrating it could get, taking those practice exams and not scoring where you want to be. It's not the end all be all. There are many medical schools that would take you with a low GPA and low MCAT score if you're able to show that you can excel in other parts of your application. Not to say you should just accept a low score. You should definitely work your hardest you should put out the best that you can. But if you do that and you notice that it's just not working out, it's okay. That being said, I did have good enough scores on my other sections. So my Chem Phys section, I scored a 129 there. On my bio section, I believe I had a 127, and then on the psych social section I had a 128. And to me, these are really good section scores for someone who is just, I'm not a very good test taker in terms of timing, so I actually never finished any of these sections on time. I just wanted to let you know sort of what those sections were like and what materials I used to prepare myself for to scoring as I scored on those 3 sections. In terms of critical reading, you guys, I am not the best to be asking, so I will not be giving any advice on the critical reading section, but I will mention some of the things that you should probably avoid because these were red flags that I noticed that I did not avoid when taking those exams. First thing, the Chem Phys section. Chemistry physics section was my favorite section of all of them. And I know this tends to be the worst section for a lot of people, so I will spend some time talking about what resources to use and what I did. Throughout college, of course, I TA'd physics, so it was easier to keep some of those material fresh in my head because I was TAing physics 1, and I also took physics 2 right before I took the MCAT, so physics was kind of fresh in my head. However, the physics section is not heavy on the MCAT. For chemistry, I only started tutoring chem after medical school, so technically when I took the MCAT, I wasn't really tutoring chem. But I'd been studying and reviewing chemistry kind of like throughout the year, so nothing was generally new to me. Technically, all I'm trying to say is I had a pretty good grasp of chemistry and physics from my undergrad years prior to me taking the MCAT. So Chem Phys section was like very chill for me. I loved doing the Chem Phys, and I didn't spend so much time reviewing Chem Phys because it was my strongest point. I'll just be telling you guys what I tell people who I tutor, Chem Phys. So the first thing you want to know is if you're still taking these classes or you're about to start taking these classes, I would advise to try to understand as much as you can with Chem Phys. I know it's difficult. Some of it is pretty abstract. Like chemistry, you can't really see the elements and you can't see a lot of things. So it's harder to keep those things to memory. And I totally understand that. But I would advise to try to keep as much as you can if possible. What I did when I took those classes was I would do as many practice questions as I can from my textbooks. I watched a lot of Khan Academy videos for chemistry and physics. Those were so helpful for me. I would try to teach other people chem phys, because when you teach something, it means that you kind of understand it enough to teach. So I do stuff like that. When I was TAing physics, I TA'd physics because I got an A at the end of the semester, but I wasn't really like strong on physics. But I signed up to TA because I wanted to keep the information fresh in my head, so that when I have to take the MCAT, I don't have to like struggle with physics. Of course, not everyone has to do that. You decide if that's something that works for you. But for me, I feel like that would be a good opportunity to keep the material fresh in my head, as well as getting some like experience to add on to my resume. That's like prior to MCAT. If you're studying for the MCAT, for me, I use Exam Crackers because it was a good review book for the physics and the chemistry. If chemistry and physics is something you struggle with in general, I advise to like get a more like detailed textbook like Next Step. I don't think, is it called Next Step or Blueprint? That's one that I've heard pretty good things about. Or you could just get a full chemistry textbook or physics textbook and try to watch as many Khan Academy videos and do questions. Now I'm going to emphasize doing questions, you guys. Like, you could read the text over and over and over and over again. It would literally not make any difference to you until you start doing practice questions, because that's how you see that you're understanding what you're learning and you're actually putting what you're learning into practice by answering those questions. I treat chemistry and physics as math. If there's a certain question, I try to figure out like, what the formula is for this question, what they're asking, and I approach it in a mathematical way. So with math, of course, for you to get better with solving problems or solving questions, you need to constantly practice. And so that's what I would do with Chem Phys. I would constantly practice. And if I notice there's a topic that I'm not doing too well on, so let's say like balancing equations, like I'm horrible with balancing equations, for example, I will literally search up on Google. Like, I just go on Google and I look for balancing equations worksheet, tons and tons of them, and I'll keep doing the questions on like balancing equations over and over and over and over again. I continue doing them until I figured out a method that works for me, and I stick to that method and I continuously keep doing that. Because when you keep practicing, you just get better at it. It's like adding and subtracting, right? The more you do it, the better you get at it, and like after some time, it's just like second nature to you. You're just able to do it. So that's what I would advise. Like, whenever you come across a topic and you're like, okay, I really don't understand this, answers, how they get the answers, like I just don't know what they're doing, I would 100% like write down that topic. And after I'm done for the day, I'll watch as many videos as I can. I will go through as many like textbooks as I can. If I have to ask friends to teach me how they approach questions like these, I would ask, and then I'll do as many practice questions as I can on my own until I figure out a method that works for me. Chem Phys was like the best because with practice you get better, versus other topics like biology and psych soc, you have to just keep reading and trying to remember, or like using memory cues to help you remember certain things, because you could study over and over again and you could forget it tomorrow, right? Because these are like facts. So to me, those were harder to like study for than Chem Phys, because Chem Phys is you get a topic, you practice over and over again, and you just get better at it. It's like a skill that you're trying to like acquire, right? But again, different people, different boats, right? If you guys are interested, you want to know more about the Chem Phys, if you guys would like for me to go through how I would approach MCAT chemistry, physics type questions, like actual MCAT questions, let me know and I'll try to do something Chem Phys related on this channel. In the bio section, I scored a 128, 127 twice. For me, I felt like bio was like the hardest to improve on, because there was a lot of material in biology and you never know what they're gonna ask. On test day, you just have to remember stuff. So that was my only thing with bio, is like it's more memorization and being able to recall everything that you've read on test day. I'll tell you what I did, and I'll tell you like mistakes or things that you could do to get even better grades. So for bio, again, I used Exam Crackers. I also tutored bio. I tutored Biology 1. I was very comfortable with everything Bio 1 included, but I just had to keep reviewing. And the only reason I feel like I didn't do better with the bio section is because there's just so much information, and it was just kind of hard for me to keep up with everything. So what I've noticed people do is people use Anki. So you can use Anki to just kind of make sure you're remembering everything, right? Because there's a lot of information. You want to keep reviewing stuff daily. I made flashcards and I literally put them under my pillow, you guys. I put them under my pillow. And every morning I wake up, I would get those flashcards and I would go through a couple of them in the morning, and then right before I sleep I'll go through those flashcards. Like, this was a ritual for me. I could not go to bed without reviewing those flashcards at night, and when I wake up in the morning, before I brush my teeth, before I get up, I would review those flashcards. The good thing with that is by the 5th day, 6th day, or like at least 2 weeks into doing that, I remembered so much of all those flashcards, you know, and so it's easier to keep adding more to that. Another alternative to do, if you don't want to like actively make the flashcards, you don't want a piece of paper or whatever and keep them under your pillow like I did, is you can use Anki. A lot of people use Anki. It's the same thing. It helps you review like a bunch of flashcards, you know, every day. It's reviewing the flashcards for you, so you can like use Anki and be reviewing those flashcards. And all of this is just to help you keep all that information fresh in your head, because it is a lot of information and you never know what they're gonna ask, so you want to kind of be prepared for whatever they're gonna ask, right? Now, all of this is just getting the information in. Getting the information in, like I said, is different from like actually answering the questions and like practicing and like looking at a passage and knowing what the passage wants and then being able to translate that into answering questions, which is why you always want to practice. I spent more time studying than actually doing more practice questions, and I feel like I could have done much better. I had a better potential, a much better potential for myself. I can literally count how many passages I did, you guys, for these exams. Okay, so definitely practice, because the more you practice, the better you get at it. Reading those passages and figuring out how to get your answer from those passages and then actually answering the question and doing all of that in time is like a whole other like ball game, you guys. So you really do want to practice. Soc section, psychology, sociology section. That was a little weird for me, because even though I'd taken a psychology class, I'd taken several psychology classes, and I had actually taken a social psychology class. I had never really taken a sociology class. And so I thought I was very comfortable with that until I started doing questions. I was like, I don't really know a lot of these things. I only used exam crackers the first time that I took the exam, and I scored a 126 on the psych social section. If you've been exposed to the material, then you can do exam crackers because it's a nice review of everything. But if you haven't taken a class or a course in that particular subject, I would advise to like get a better review book that can like give you more information. And that's what I wish I did. Just did exam crackers, but exam crackers does not give you enough, at least the time that I took it. Now it might be different. They might have more information on there, but they didn't have as much information when I took my exam. So I was honestly not prepared for psych soc. The second time I took it, you guys, and this honestly, I don't know how to shout it out, but you guys, I went up from 126 to 128, and I barely put in energy into psych soc. The second time I took the exam, I was working more so on improving my critical reading section, not the psych soc. So the only thing I did was, because I didn't realize, you know, what I could do better with psych soc. I didn't realize that I could get a better review book and actually fully study for this thing. I didn't get any help from anyone. I was just self-studying, like I said. But I checked on Google and I was like, you know, psych soc. And you guys, if you Googled psych soc, and I'll try to look for that link and actually put it up here. If you don't see it, go to Google and check MCAT Psychology Sociology Review PDF or something like that, because that PDF was all I did, you guys. That's the only thing I did. I went through that review like 2 days before the exam, and I tried to memorize as much of it as I could, and I ended up scoring a 128 on psych soc. Like, that surprised me. You know, I went up 2 points just from 2 days of studying something else. Like, what? I'm like, damn, if I'd put in more time, more energy, I might have actually gotten something better on psych soc, you know? So that review book covers everything else you need for sociology, everything you need on psychology. Definitely have to include that into your study plans. Critical reading, I'm gonna make this quick because critical reading came and said, baby girl, no ma'am, to never be well with you. That's okay, Sha. I'm still here. We still made it. But anyway, you guys, critical reading, I honestly would say that I went into the exam knowing fully well that I was not prepared for critical reading.
So I lost a part of this video, unfortunately, but to summarize everything I was saying, don't be like me. Try to avoid going into the exam without fully feeling prepared. I made the mistake thinking that, well, even though I'm scoring 121s to 123s on my practice critical reading passages, maybe something might happen, something might click on test day, and I may score a 125 or 126. The chances of that happening are super slim. It does happen, but only to a few number of people, and again, chances are slim. So avoid that. Avoid going in thinking that your practice scores might not be your actual scores, because chances are they might be your actual scores, and chances are you could actually possibly do worse on practice day because of nerves and the environment that goes with taking the practice exams. So yeah, if you can, try to invest in a tutoring class. If you're doing everything you can and it seems like you're not performing well, I will advise to invest in a tutoring program, a tutoring class. I wish that was something that I did earlier on for the critical reading section and just other sections, because tutoring does help.
Yeah, it's worth it getting a tutoring package or a tutor if you're not performing around where you want to perform on MCAT. The last thing would be to be easy on yourself, you guys. I know how hard the exams can be and like how frustrating it could be if you're putting in so much time, so much effort, and it's just not giving the results that you want it to give. I would definitely advise to take things easy on yourself. Take breaks, go for walks, have time to yourself, spend time with family, spend time with people that you love. Your life is not about to be just this exam and just the MCAT. That can be your whole life for the period that you're studying for it. And I know it's easier said than done. If you've been following me, been following this channel, been watching my vlogs, I'm just not the best when it comes to like taking care of yourself during like board studying or like standardized exams preparation. But it honestly helps to just take the time for yourself and do things that you love. Remind yourself of the things that you love, and that it's just a phase. You be past it in no time. It's not the end of the world if you don't score the best that you can on this exam. It's just an exam, and a lot of people don't score well. The people who are reporting their scores, like everybody seems to be getting 520s and everything, but you guys, that's just not true. That is so not true. There's so many people who are scoring below 500s, guys. Of course there are. 500 is the 50th percentile. Are you kidding me? There are a good number of people who are not scoring well and are having to repeat or are still applying to medical school with such low scores. So you are not the only one, and it might look like you're the only one when you go on SN or Reddit and everyone's reporting such great scores. You're not the only one. There's a lot of people like you. In my school, I've met more people who scored around my range or lesser than I did than people who scored like 518s and above. And we're all going to be doctors in 1 year. A number of people have matched into pretty like decent programs. They're matching into super competitive specialties. Of course, the MCAT has nothing to do with that. But just to say that right now, it might feel like it's the end of the world if you're not scoring where you want to be. But in the next couple years, things could change, and you never know, what could happen. All you need is one school to accept you. All you need is one school to say yes to you. And baby, you are a medical student. Baby, you are going to be a doctor in the future, regardless of what anyone says. And who knows, you're going to be the next surgeon. You're going to be the next plastic surgeon, or you're going to be, our OBGYN, or you're going to be our like oncologist or our gastroenterologist, like whatever you want to do, like you're going to do it. So do not let the score eat you up or make you feel like it ain't going to work out. And as I say this to you guys, I say this to myself as well. I say this to myself as well because it's very easy to get wrapped up in your scores and everything when you see everyone else doing pretty well. So, okay, that's it for that. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, if you want me to go through like samples about how I work through my Chem Phys MCAT sections, and I could also do the biology sections as well. If you guys are interested, let me know. I'll be very happy to do that. Definitely like this video, leave a comment in the comment section, subscribe to the channel, you guys. I'll be posting more videos, application tips and interview tips, medical school content, like I said. So definitely follow the channel, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Have a good one. Love y'all.